Hello, everyone, and welcome into B&T Sports Talk Show. I'm your boy T, and next to me is none other than my man B, and we are here to discuss all the happenings in the great worldwide of sports. And looking forward to discussing NFL free agency and our teams going head to head. Lakers and the Warriors yesterday did not work out in my favor. I'll start there. But before we jump in, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the notification button, hit the like button on the video. We appreciate it. Oh man, and B, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm finally hitting my weekend while all y'all are getting ready for the work week. This is my Saturday here, so it's nice and relaxing here. I need to give a quick shout out. I know it's a week overdue to say the least, but for those who do know, I'm a huge Godzilla fan. It's been 70 years since we started seeing a man in a costume running around, overheating in it. Toho Japan giving us childhood memories to say the least here. And they had finally won an Oscar for Best Visual movie. Now, it sounds far fetched, but for a Godzilla movie, for those who've seen them, haven't been the greatest to say the least here. But for us, it's a great just childhood thing to watch, and to see this come into full circle for them to take home an Oscar here for I think was the movie of the year. Now, granted, I think it was like Oppenheimer, and the movie Barbie was even in that category, which I couldn't really figure out why, to say the least. But man, Godzilla minus one took home an Oscar for all Godzilla fans. So I just want to give a shout out to all my Godzilla fans, to everybody over there
Yeah,
to uh to get us all here. What is going on here?
I don't know, man, but let's give a huge shout out to Godzilla, who hopefully doesn't come stomping through our show and blowing up our stuff. But yeah, man,
Yeah, let's hope not.
hey, but it doesn't stop, right? There's another one coming out very soon with Godzilla and King Kong. King
Yep.
Kong has some type of weird gauntlet on. I guess he's Thanos now. I don't know what the hell. I'm not sure what's happening, but looks interesting. It looks interesting.
I've been I've been avoiding the previews, man. That there's a movie I really want to go see and watch, I will avoid all previews at all times. I just want to be surprised. I saw the initial trailer when they rolled it out, but since then I've not seen any trailers because there's a bunch of Easter eggs. There's a legendary villain in it as well, so I'm trying to keep away from it so I don't ruin it for myself.
Well, there was a baby Kong sighting. Hopefully that didn't ruin it for you. But yeah, other than that, should be interesting, man. I didn't really care for the first. I mean, I think they've made a few different like versions of the Godzilla movie. The first one I think was pretty bad. Was it Matthew Broderick, or who was it in that very first one? I'm trying to
It
remember.
was it was Matthew Broderick, the 1998 movie,
There
when
you
he didn't
go.
even look like Godzilla. He just looked like a pet lizard,
Yes,
oversized
that's right. They changed his
on fish. It was
they
terrible,
changed what he looked like and
terrible.
everything. So I didn't really care for that movie. It wasn't all that great. And yeah, they just I don't know. These movies they've been up and down. They're like I don't know if anybody's seen the Hulk movies, but most of just about all of them suck. Outside of the Avengers movies, they were absolute hot trash with Edward Norton and who was the other guy before that? It was I can't remember his name right now. But anyway, we're getting off topic
Wasn't
here.
you know what the worst part? The best Hulk character never had a movie for himself.
Who's that?
The one who was in the who played
Oh
the
yeah, yeah,
Hulk in
yeah.
all
The
the
Avengers movies. Yeah,
yeah. What's his name?
yeah,
Ruffling.
yeah. Mark Ruffalo. Ruffalo, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
he
it's
never
Mark.
had his own individual movies, and I think he would have done a great job. Instead, he got to play the Hulk in Avengers. I mean, which
Well,
again, I'm not mad about.
well, I blame Marvel because they made Hulk take yoga classes, and then he turned out to be this big green Smurf guy, who's just Hulk all the time, and is nice to everyone. So yeah, they would have to definitely pull it back a little bit and make him a little bit more of a monster in order for it to be interesting.
That bit.
Sure. Well, let's jump in now that we've given y'all all of our our positions on movies, Godzilla and Avengers, Marvel, and everything else. Let's jump into what's been going on in sports, starting with uh, the the Warriors took on the Lakers in a matchup of the ninth and 10th seed in the West. Wow. for both these teams, really. But it was an important game. The 11th seed Houston Rockets probably aren't close enough to catch up and get the seed into the 10th seed, but
Yeah.
seeding between ninth and 10th is important because you never know what can happen with the Sacramento Kings, um, and the Suns and the Pelicans, and that things could change, and the Mavs, who actually haven't been playing too bad. But ultimately, this came down to a matchup between LeBron James and Stephen Curry for the 20,000th time. It seems like that they played against each other. Many of those in the finals. I'm sure B is familiar with all of those games. Um,
Enjoyed every single one of them.
but this particular version of the Los Angeles Lakers deserves to be in the 10th place because, well, they didn't do it. They did everything except one of the most important things you have to do in basketball: play defense. There was no defense to be found. They couldn't guard anybody. I mean, it was whack, man. I'm not gonna get into a rant. I'm gonna let you talk about your team because your team played well, took advantage of the fact that we were running drop coverage and defense. We pretty much gave you guys as many floaters in the key as you could possibly handle. But anyway, what did your team do to prevail?
They played well. They took it. I think the big thing for them was taking advantage, like you said, of the points in the paint here. It's one thing the Warriors really don't do. They really settle on a lot of outside jumpers, 3-point shots. That's what we're known for here. But they took advantage of it. I think the biggest outpoint was Jonathan Kaminga. Kaminga had 23 points um, in that game there. And I think, while Curry was gone, he was one of the guys that needed to step up. And this was the perfect game to step up in against the Lakers here, allowing him to kind of get loose and get into the paint to to dominate in such a way here. His jump shot looked good. He found his way getting to the hoop here. Look, if Anthony Davis is in the game, I think this is a different story for the Warriors here. I don't think they live in the paint as much.
Yeah.
But they did a really good job taking care of the ball too, and on the defensive end as well. There were still a lot of points after they had scored coming through here, but it wasn't as much to say the least. And they only ran with a 9-man roster here. A lot of the guys didn't play. Sark, Looney, Robinson, Moody, and Quinoa all were inactive. Were all coaches' decisions here.
It,
So they did go with a very short, and they went with a quick lineup here. So I think that was good for them to get back into their old ways. The game last night was very vintage like for the Warriors here. Klay Thompson as well, 26 points off the bench. This is going to be a godsend for the Warriors here. But the one thing I just don't want to see happening is Klay Thompson gets hot in these first halves, right? All his points came in the first half.
yeah.
He was, non-existent. But those 26 points spoke loud enough here. Chris Paul with 8, Trace Jackson Davis with 10. So you had a lot of contributions up and down the lineup here, but it's just nice having number 30 back on the court as well here. He really dictates a lot of the offense there. Dictates a lot of attention to the defense as well, which the Lakers had to do. As you stated on Friday here, the Lakers had to do a good job keeping the Warriors off the 3-point line. And in a game like yesterday, it really wasn't going to matter here. The Warriors were living on the inside. They were able to go the in and out way as well here. So I think the Warriors really ended this road trip on a great note here with that big win against the Lakers.
Yeah.
Sorry to do it to you, but they had to.
Well, look. Bottom line is LeBron goes for 40 and they lose. I mean, anytime he goes for a lot of points, generally they lose. And here's the deal. Defensively, this team is atrocious. They're not very good at being able to defend. They showed it time and time again by not being able by not switching, or at least maybe not knowing when to switch on great players like Stephen Curry. They would defend him on the 3-point line, but then once he started running again, they'd forget about him, and he ended up with more than a handful of layups off of passes from Draymond Green right at the rim. And this happened continuously throughout the entire game. As far as, and I've continually said this with this team is, they don't seem to have a defensive scheme or offensive scheme that they can consistently do. And it shows. guys are struggling to stick with guys on screens. Guys are standing around a lot on the defensive end. They're not, the Lakers struggle getting back. And the Warriors did a great job of taking advantage of that. For instance, that dribble handoff. I don't even know if
The
it was a
naked dribble handoff.
Yeah, it was either dribble handoff or it was or it was a
Draymond
screen.
going directly to the hoop.
It's either Draymond going directly to the hoop with the ball in his hand before the handoff and LeBron's asleep somewhere, or it's a situation where Draymond comes to set the screen. We don't switch, and when we do switch, the person that's supposed to switch onto Draymond doesn't get under Draymond Green. Instead, they stay on top. Draymond cuts to the rim, quick pass to him, alley-oop to Kuminga all day. That play, they ran that play, I would say about a good 5 times. I mean, and the same thing seemed to happen. And, it's just stuff like that is why I continually say that the Lakers head coach needs to go, is because they just don't look good. They just don't look like they know what they're doing. And of course, you can look at individual players. You can say, hey, these guys are just not good offensively. But when it comes to being able to defend screens, knowing when to switch, hustling for rebounds, getting back, these are the type of things that coaches have to instill in their players throughout the entire season. Guys, I mean, we've only got like 15 games left. That means they played almost 70 games. And if 70 games in, we don't know what we're doing on defense, then it's a wrap. You know what I mean? And the Lakers are hoping that Gabe Vincent and Jared Vanderbilt coming back is going to save them. And it'll help them in the one-on-one with guys who at least understand, whose only job is to defend. But I don't think it's going to save their defense overall. And of course, it didn't help that Anthony Davis got elbowed in the face and ended up being out of the game for the most of the second half. So
I wouldn't be shocked if he's out for the rest of the year.
I don't know about that. We'll see, man. You're right. Who knows? He might end up missing the next game. They're playing the Atlanta Hawks, so we'll see.
You know what the crazy part is? Last year, the Lakers defended that naked handoff in Game 6 of the Western Conference semifinals. So it's not like the Warriors were going to change anything. That same personnel that stopped that play in last year's playoffs was basically out there again this year, and the Warriors just ran circles with that there. And like you said, the Lakers just had a hard time getting off of screens. Curry had too many back cuts for easy layups coming from Draymond here. Yeah. Like it was too easy for them.
Yeah. How many wide open
to the basket here?
How many wide open Kuminga threes did we give up? I mean, the guy was just chilling in the corner, just shooting the same shot the whole game.
I think you can live with that, though. I think you can live with that.
Not the Lakers.
Not a 3-point shooter.
We give up more threes than any other team in the league. We give up more open threes than most teams. We do, and percentage wise. And so I don't know. Like, you would think with AD backing us up that we would be a little bit more aggressive with guards and funnel them towards the big. But we don't. We don't. We just kind of like decide, oh, well, we're not going to guard this guy and that guy from the 3 today. And then that guy and that guy goes off. It happened to us against Sacramento when Keegan Murray and I forgot what the other guy's name is. Some other bench player went off on us from the 3-point line because we somehow our game plan was to let them shoot open threes because we felt like they wouldn't make them. But it's the NBA. You can't just leave guys open, man. It's stupid.
Not anymore. Not when it's a 3-point shooting league. But can we talk about the last 2 minutes that took way too damn long?
Dude,
what in the hell was going on here, man?
It
was like challenge after challenge, and then the shot clock stopped working. Then you had the PA announcement. It sounded like a countdown clock. 10 seconds, 5 seconds. Dude, it was a terrible way to end that game. It was a really good game too. From our standpoint here,
it was close.
It was a fantastic game. The last 2 times these 2 teams have gotten together, we got a double overtime game. We got this game as well here. These were very contested games for 2 last place teams, but because of the history that one team carries, you have both teams having legendary players on their team. That last 2 minutes really took the sails out of a potential Lakers comeback.
It did
because it halted the game. It halted everything.
It literally went from Draymond Green's foot being on the line to the clock not working at all, and they stopped the
To
ball. I want to say they inbounded the ball and wasted 3 seconds off of the play clock 3 different times, just to
yeah,
figure out or sort out what it didn't make. It made absolutely no sense. Just test the damn clock, and if it doesn't work, then go on to plan B. Back in the day, they used to have the floor monitor. They used to take the floor monitor
yeah.
and put it on the floor so you could still see it. If the thing isn't working, then why don't they just do that? What happened? And so it just
Where's the
was.
backup plan?
Yeah,
Like, where's the backup plan to these clocks
yeah,
if they
man.
go out here?
Yeah, back like I
The
said.
last thing the PA announcer, the last thing the PA announcer wants to do is to start counting backwards. You know, when he's trying
Oh
to
yeah,
call a game
exactly.
in counting backwards as well. It's the
5
last thing he
seconds.
probably wants to do,
Five
to say the
seconds.
least.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Uh,
let me I want to kind of put a just the appreciation that you and I get from watching two legendary players go at it between Curry and LeBron. The rivalry is still deep here, but there's such a mutual respect for these two here. LeBron's 39 years old, people. He dropped 40 points.
yeah,
40 points at the age of 39. Curry dropped 31 at the age of 36. We're talking about guys at this age who aren't really known for playing at this high caliber for their age level, to say the least. Now,
yeah.
granted, LeBron plays a different style than Curry does, but we haven't seen guys get 39 at the age of 39 drop 40 points.
Right,
Name the last athlete to really do that, you
right.
know? So I'm glad we got a chance to witness at a very high caliber these two players play. It was fun to watch until we got to the last 2 minutes when everyone lost, from Draymond throwing the ball out of bounds, from LeBron's, you know, heel hovering over the out of bounds line,
Yeah,
to a jump ball mistake, and then obviously it led to a shot clock, and then it just slowed down after that, man. Like I lost interest after the
yeah.
game.
It just spiraled downhill from there, and so I think that with it being a primetime game and the fact that Adam Silver has made a point to say that he wants guys to play, that he better do his job on the back end and make sure that these games are not being delayed with silliness like clocks and officiating. They really got to find a way to clean a lot of that up. And if guys are going to if refs are going to make calls or challenge, we're going to have a challenge system, we need to have a timer
Yeah.
on it. We got to time it. You got to get in there. You got to see the video. You got to make a choice. We can't wait forever on that. And that's the kind of stuff that I
God,
don't think we need to do. Like the refs should only be able to see, whatever angle they need. Give them like 2 minutes at the most, and
I
then
give them 1 minute.
yeah, and
I
then
give them 1 minute to make that
if you
decision.
can't make a choice within that time frame, then the play stands or it stays
Yep.
stands as called. But don't waste all the time staring at Draymond's foot. We ain't got time for that.
We ain't got. What do you? We don't even want to look at the back of LeBron's heels. We don't care.
Right,
Just
right.
make the call. Don't make us sit there and have to watch the replay with the announcers 8 different times. Like we don't need to
Yeah,
see it 8 different times here.
right.
We got Junior in the chat. He says, "Will the Warriors make the playoffs?"
Yeah,
Man,
yeah. And I'll tell you why. It's not.
I'll
It's
let
not.
you.
It's not
I'm
the
having a hard
reason.
time answering
It's
this.
not the reason you think it is. It's not because the Warriors are great this season. It's not because they're just awesome. It's because the Rockets are crap, and the Rockets are the 11th seed in the West, and they're 32-35. So the likelihood of the Warriors falling out of the playoff standings is very, very slim. Right now they're 35-31. They're 4 games over 500. The Rockets are 3 games under 500. I don't see that happening. So I think the Warriors will definitely make the playoffs. And again, like I said, it's not because it's partially because they are playing a little better now, but it's also because
Yes.
the 11 seed team is the Rockets, and they've been pretty rough. Or
So you
actually,
referring to? Are we confirming that the playing tournament is considered the playoffs? Do you
yeah,
do you consider it? Do you
because
consider it?
yeah, I do, and the reason I do is because you're participating in it. It'd be one thing to say, well, the playing doesn't matter. Yeah, well, it kind of does because then we don't know who's actually going to play that 1 seed, right? Like we have no idea. I can't
Yeah.
say it's not important because somebody has to win the tournament in order to be the eighth and the 7th seed. So yeah, I think we do consider it a playoff. So because if we didn't, then how the hell did the Lakers make it to the Western Conference Finals last year? You know what I mean?
I'm a
So
little I'm a little concerned because I'm waiting for the Warriors to have that one game again. And the
yeah,
likelihood of it happening during the playing tournament is very highly, just because it's what the Warriors have done. The Warriors have had some really bad clunkers where they've lost too many close games,
yeah,
and so when it comes down to it, if they want to change the mind of the fan base, these close games that they're going to have for the rest of the year, they have to win to feel confident that when we go into this playing tournament, whether it's a 9-10 matchup or a 7-8, when this game gets tight, that they can come out victorious here. Now, yeah, we do have Steph Curry, but you blink at Steph Curry, who else? Who are you going to rely on at that point? There,
yeah. Well, dude,
that's what it's going to come down to here.
if we're talking about who's going to make it into that seventh and eighth seed, it's your guess and my guess. You got to look at the
Yeah,
teams that are there, and that's where it starts to get scary. We talked about this in our last show. These are the teams, folks, that are in 7 through 10: the Mavericks, the Suns, the Warriors, and the Lakers. Okay, any of those four teams is more than capable of beating the other. The Dallas Mavericks have Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic. The Suns have
yep.
this three-headed monster they created, which that's we're not even going to get into that, and maybe we'll get into that when we get in the playoffs. But they've been an absolute failure. Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker. None of them can stay healthy, and here they are in the eighth seed after all that hoopla about them being a great team. The Golden State Warriors rounded out at 9. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Kuminga, up and coming player. Wiggins, kind of, sort of playing a little bit better. And then you have
Yeah,
the Lakers, who are capable of beating any team, just like the rest of these teams, any team in one particular game. So that's what you're looking at. Four teams that are capable of beating any team in the league on any given night, playing each other. So this is not like last year where the Timberwolves were down there. You know what I mean, and the Utah Jazz or something. So it's gonna be really competitive. I'm a Laker fan. I can't with confidence say, yeah, if we go in and play the Dallas Mavericks, we're gonna beat them, because then we'd have to turn
yeah.
around and beat the next team after that. So it's a two games to get into the playoffs. So it's that's tough, man. That's tough.
I'm not I'm not really comfortable with it. I mean, both of our teams aren't far out from the six or seven, the sixth spot. So that sixth spot is still there. But and
Yeah,
realistically, when you look at how many games you're left, you're just fighting, you're jockeying for position in this
yep,
playing tournament. So you need to get into the 7-8 seed because you're guaranteed 2 games. You get into this 9-10 matchup, you're guaranteed at least one game
that's it.
to move on, or at least just get to that 8 spot here. But when you talk about the 4 teams that are in the play-in tournament as of right now, they're all 4 teams that are capable of getting to the NBA finals as well
Yeah,
through some of these teams here. Because there's too many young teams in the top of the Western Conference that have not established themselves yet. And that is a big thing when it comes to NBA playoff basketball, is what you've been through to get to that point there. So,
hey,
these guys like Oklahoma City
yeah.
and the Minnesota Timberwolves, they are not they don't know what it's like to be the top dog being chased. They're normally chasing. There's a big difference when it comes to that.
Yeah, the perfect example was last year. I don't know if folks remember, but the Memphis Grizzlies were the 2 seed
Yep.
whenever they faced the Lakers, who came out of the play-in tournament, and they lost. The Sacramento Kings were what were they, the 3 seed?
Three.
They were the
They were the
3
three.
seed. Came into the playoffs, lost in the first round to the 7th seeded Warriors. So you can't, as you like you said, man. That was last year was a prime example of, if you don't have that experience, you might be in for a doozy. Like you might not be able to do what to accomplish that without the experience. And you've got the Denver Nuggets sitting in second place right now, and even after pissing off like halfway through the season, the Nuggets have found themselves right back where they belong. So I'd be really curious to see what happens. But it's all I'll say. If I'm the Lakers need to somehow get out of the play-in and play the Oklahoma City Thunder in the first round, because if we end up matched up against the Denver Nuggets, I ain't gonna sit here and lie to you. We have not beat the Denver Nuggets ever. It's been like 8, 9, 10 games. We have not beat this. We have not beaten the Denver Nuggets. We cannot beat that team.
Yeah.
So we would have to play anybody but them. Anybody but them. Is there a particular team you're looking at that top, the top of that Western Conference where you're saying the Warriors could definitely take those guys, and or is there another one where you're looking at saying I really hope the Warriors don't play them?
Um, I think the team that I probably would fear the most for the Warriors is OKC.
Hmm.
And it's the fact that they get up and down the court quicker than they do. OKC really thrives on getting to the bucket within 3 seconds of a made basket here, and that's going to trouble the Warriors here. The Warriors played Denver well. 3 out of the 4 games were decided by I think 2 or 3 points. Um, I think the bigger factor to that would be Draymond versus Jokic. That'd
Yeah.
be a really good matchup. And Minnesota, it's Minnesota. All right, let's not worry about the Minnesota Timberwolves
Hey,
at all.
man.
Although Anthony Edwards is playing some great basketball, I will
Yep.
give him that. You just Rudy Gobert has been in the playoffs too many times.
He's a
He's been immune from
clown.
getting crossed over by damn near every point guard.
You can just
He is
call.
a
You can just
clown.
call him
Carl
what he
Anthony
is.
Towns is not. Carl Anthony Towns hasn't had a playoff moment yet to sit there and say, "Man, this guy is lighting it up." So again, those are teams that you just fear the most. But I think out of any team that's going to give the Warriors any problems is a team that gets up and down the court just as quick. It either just as quick or faster than they do. What I see in OKC is what I see from the Warriors back in 2014, 2015. The way they get up and down that court. Shea Gilders Alexander as well, monster of a player coming into his own in the league here. So I see them as the Warriors' biggest threat of getting bounced early, assuming the Warriors don't make it out of the play-in tournament.
Yeah. Well, only time will tell, and we've only got about.
Yes, it will.
Let me look at the clock. Probably about 4 or 5 more weeks. And the season is done, and then we will be in full playoff mode, talking about the playoffs. That should be fun. Hopefully, our teams actually make it out to survive. It would be absolutely crazy if both the Warriors and the Lakers make it into the 7th and 8th seeds going into playoffs. That would be crazy. But we'll see. I don't even know if it's possible based on how they set the seeding up, but we'll see how it goes. I don't even
know. Exactly.
All right, so let's move on to NFL free agency. We talked a little bit about it before it happened on Monday, last Sunday, but now the moves are they're coming in, and we got to start with some interesting choices with personnel and with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They went into the offseason wondering what they were going to do with their quarterback. They were going to stick with Pickett. They had a very up and down 500 kind of ball club, really. They went out and made a splashy move by going and getting Russell Wilson. Now that was Monday. Was Monday. And then a couple of days later, they traded for Justin Fields from the Bears. I'm trying to wrap my head around this. I understand the Steelers wanting to have options and maybe have these guys compete against one another. But what is the point of having Russell Wilson, a vet who's been in the league as long as he has, compete against a young Justin Fields who really just needs time behind center to really flex his muscles and show how good he can be? I feel like the Steelers are setting themselves up for a quarterback controversy, and we haven't even seen any practice yet.
Doesn't even need to be a quarterback controversy at the moment. I thought the Steelers were good after getting Russell Wilson.
Yeah,
I thought they were good after that. And then they go out and get Justin Fields right after that as well. And then they trade. Kenny Pickett gets traded to the Philadelphia Eagles literally hours after they make the announcement of bringing in Justin Fields. This is such an interesting move for the Steelers to make here. Are you willing to make the decision if Russell Wilson is having a bad year to put in Justin Fields? Or is Justin Fields there to learn behind Russell Wilson? There's so many questions that need to be answered for this team right now. I don't get it.
But
I don't get the move.
Don't you kind of have to put Justin Fields in though? Like don't they need to know what Justin Fields is because he's the younger guy, he has more upside? I mean, you can't, like, you almost have to at least give him an opportunity, and that's where I'm kind of like, well, wait a minute. The other thing is Russell Wilson's only on, what is he, only on a 1 year deal or something like that?
It's only a 1 year deal.
So he's not there for the long haul. I don't know if either one of them are, but he's not there for the long haul. And so the question is, it really seems like the Steelers are really trying to figure out. I mean, they're going into this offseason not saying that Russell, or basically saying that Russell Wilson is not necessarily the starter. Now they're saying on paper he's QB1, but is he? Like, is he? Because you're going to have Justin Fields sitting behind him. If Russell has a similar start to this season, the way he did with the Broncos, I mean, they're gonna get his ass out of there.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought Justin Fields had the better year than Russell Wilson did last year.
Yeah, Russell Wilson sucked last year.
And now you're asking Justin Fields to be a starting quarterback for the last 3 years. You're asking him to be a bench player. I think he is the younger version of what Russell Wilson was at his time in Seattle. I think you just had more upside with starting Justin Fields over Russell Wilson here. Remember, you're looking for a franchise quarterback at this point. You're not looking for a 1 year rental. You are not in a position, say like the San Francisco 49ers, where you have all this talent and you just need that quarterback. You need that one individual to put you over the hump. The Steelers don't have that. I mean, and so for them to make and for them to make for them to make that call, it's like, man, I really don't get that, to say the least. I would much rather have them just stick with Russell Wilson or stick with Justin Fields, because Justin Fields is young. He's got a lot of upside, and I think he's got him and George Pickens would actually have a really good combination going on.
Yeah. So it remains to be seen. It's going to be curious to see how they work this out and going into the offseason exactly what they intend to do. I mean, on paper, I think Russell Wilson will start, but it does put some doubt on how much they actually, how much trust and faith they actually have in Russell Wilson, because it's kind of starting to look like maybe they don't. And that's why Justin Fields is there, is kind of a just in case type scenario. By the way, whoever Justin Fields' agent is needs to be fired. I mean, this is a young quarterback. What the hell is he doing backing up 55-year-old Russell Wilson unless they know for sure he's going to get an opportunity to play? Again, that's another one. I just don't get it at all.
Not at all there.
Yeah, man. Let's see. Who else we got? So, well, I'll let you talk about this one. So, I'll set you up, though. So, the Ravens, they ran the ball with the quarterback more than anybody else. They had Gus Edwards, who kind of came in later in the season, did some good things for him. But they never really had a complete running game that we're used to seeing from the Baltimore Ravens. Well, that's done. They have cemented their running back core, and they are adding Derrick Henry. So I'll pass that over to you. What does this mean for the Ravens? How does this make them better?
Well, if you're defending the Ravens offense, who are you choosing? You need to either choose Lamar Jackson or you need to choose Derrick Henry. When we were trying to figure out where Derrick Henry was going to go, you and I both said that the Ravens would be a perfect fit for him. And Lord and behold, less than 24 hours after you and I bring it up, he signs with the Ravens here. The Ravens got their stable quarterback or running back here. This is what they've been waiting for. We've been hoping it would be J.K. Dobbins. He can't stay healthy. Gus Edwards was a great flash, but Derrick Henry is a different monster. All right. He has carried on average the ball 300 times each season here. All right. He did have a little bit of a dip in his performance from this past season. Yeah. But let's be quite honest, Tennessee was not using him properly here. He is going to get every opportunity to have 100-yard games this year due to the fact that when the Ravens run a quarterback option, you either have to jump to one of the two. You can't jump at both. So that play action game for the Ravens just got that much better. And that's only because of the presence that Derrick Henry brings here. So you can load the box all you want. You can bring 8 into the box here, but who are you going to trust? And Lamar Jackson showed that he's a good passer. He had a good season of throwing the ball here. So if you're going to load the box and you turn him into a thrower, that might be bad. Now, I still think the Ravens need a really good wideout to pair with Zay Flowers. But other than that, if you decide not to stack the box, you're asking for one of those two to get loose real quickly here. And they both have the capability of just breaking off 80, 70-yard runs in the blink of an eye like that. So you got to choose. I'm super thrilled about this. It is just a 2-year deal. Hopefully, it can lead to something longer, but at least you're getting a known a known item with Derrick Henry here. The track record speaks for it all here. So,
Yeah.
dude, I'm so excited for this, man. You know what? They can start football next week for all I care. I can't wait to see this.
And just so folks at home know, now Derrick Henry did have he had definitely less carries than he did the year before, but even with his numbers somewhat quote unquote falling off, he still ran for 1,167 yards, 4.2 yards a carry, and 12 touchdowns. So he was still amongst the top ranks in the NFL, even at this stage in his career. And the scary part is going to be that play action. I think more importantly though, it's going to take some pressure off of
Yes.
Lamar Jackson, because we saw it in the playoffs last year. The guy felt like he had to do everything under the sun, throwing passes to himself, and which was a crazy play from the playoffs last year or this year. And now he's going to put some of that weight onto Derrick Henry, who can pick up some yardage, and can make it a little easier for him to make plays down the field by providing some offense for them. I'm sure that Lamar Jackson is licking his chops and ready to get back to being a passer and letting Derrick Henry do the running. So yeah, I think it's definitely a good pickup for the Ravens.
Great pickup there. Your team had a really good pickup, to say the least. Let's talk about what your team did here.
Yes,
They
sir.
decided to go out and bolster their defensive line by going out and getting the funny Christian Wilkinson on a 4-year, $110 million deal. And then right after that, proceed to bring in Gardner Minshew on a 2-year, $25 million deal here. My personal opinion to you, Gardner Minshew is a very, very good pickup for the Las Vegas Raiders here. But I'm gonna let you start this conversation off, man. Congrats to your team spending money.
Well, first off, I love it because it's a new day. They fired the GM. They fired the coach. They got McDaniel's butt out of there. They made a good decision by keeping Antonio Pierce. I think the type of attitude that he brings is going to motivate certain free agents to come to you. Christian Wilkins was the top defensive tackle available, okay, outside of Chris Jones, who re-signed with the Chiefs. He was next, and the Raiders did not hold back. They pulled out the pocket, the checkbook, and they paid my man close to $100 million. So this is a big contract. 9 sacks last year as a defensive tackle. He'll be paired with one of the best defensive edge rushers in Max Crosby. They will be a wrecking crew. And I think that on the defensive side of the ball is where things have to begin for the Raiders, especially given the fact that they may have a new offensive game plan and quarterback coming into next year. Gardner Minshew, see, this is B's thing. Because I wasn't Gardner Minshew. I was like, okay. You mean the guy that backed up Richardson when he got injured with the Colts? Big deal. But I did watch him. I think he is a quality. He's a quality quarterback. He's he's got some edge to him, and can make plays. I'm curious to see what will happen. I know he will be competing. He'll be competing for the quarterback position with the Raiders, and so. I think it's a good pickup. I'm a little curious to see what they look like in, what the quarterback situation looks like when we get into the preseason and we get to see these guys firsthand. Obviously, you still got Devontae Adams. I think we cut Winfro over the offseason, so we created a little bit of cap space by getting rid of a couple of guys. But most of our defense, or the pieces that matter, are still there. And so Spillane and the rest, I think I'm ready to see them go. I think what we're looking at is a Raider team that's going to get back to Raider fundamentals and be one of the better defensive teams in the NFL. And I think that's where it's going to start. And after that, we'll see if the offense can find its way to be serviceable at least. Good enough to put up a few points or touchdowns here and there. I don't think our offense is going to blow the doors off, but I think we just need to do enough to put points on the board, and I think we're definitely going to be relying heavily on our defense to carry us. But I like what we're doing. I like what we're doing. There are some big name quarterbacks, obviously. With you got Pat Mahomes, you got San Diego. You got what's the guy's name?
Justin Herbert.
There you got
Justin Herbert.
Got Herbert. I have no idea what the Denver Broncos are doing, and I don't care. And so, but you have to be prepared to attack these guys. So I think that's what we're doing, and everybody knows that if you get that front five going, or front four, if you get them going consistently, your team's going to have a chance to win the game.
Well, here's where things get interesting more for the Raiders on the defensive end. Jalen Ramsey wanted a large deal from the Jaguars. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. And now he's linked to either the Titans or the Raiders as a landing home for Jalen Ramsey here. Now, Jalen Ramsey was a top cornerback, with his time in the Rams here, and he's kind of fallen off a little bit here, but does still come with a little bit of a reputation of being one of the top cornerbacks in the league. So, man, if you could lock up Jalen Ramsey, would you do it? And what, already picking up having a good defensive line here, you put a guy who can defend anyone's top wide receiver. That's not a bad pickup for the Raiders here. It may cost them some money. I'd do it.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with you. I think it's a good pickup. I think he is getting a little older in age, but he's a guy that still shows some level of production. He had 3 interceptions last year, so he's a guy that he's got a nose for the ball, and that's going to be a great thing for the Raiders. Because like I mentioned earlier, I think we're going to be led with our defense this next season. And so the more talent you can pile on, even, you know what I mean? The more talent you could throw in there, the better. So if we can get Jalen Ramsey on board, get him out there. If he does well, awesome. Not so good, no problem. He'll play in certain packages. He'll get an opportunity to be on the field. Either way, he can provide something for us. So, yeah, man, I think it will be a good pickup for the Raiders. And I just love the fact that they're concentrating so much energy on the defensive side of the ball, because I think that's what you got to do. I mean, we saw what the Chiefs did, and as great as Patrick Mahomes is, that defense is what led them. You saw the Chiefs re-up with Chris Jones in the offseason and made him the highest paid defensive tackle in the game. They got Snead on the franchise tag, and they're trying to sign him back too. So yeah, defense is always important in football. So it's just good to see that we're putting some emphasis on that side of the ball.
Well, not only that too, but you have a head coach who has a defensive mindset too.
Exactly. You're right. Yep.
And so he understands that, offense is always going to light up points here. But when it comes down to it is, can you stop the other team's offense here? That last possession that your defense goes out there, do you have the personnel that you can rely on to do that here? And I think the Raiders are building that. I also think they can go out there and get maybe a middle linebacker to kind of really solidify everything there. But the Raiders are building something good here. Your couple questions on the offense, I think with the quarterback, I think Gardner Minshew is probably going to end up being the starter here, just because of what he's done over the last couple of seasons could warn him that. But you can also look into the draft as him being as a franchise quarterback being built in the draft. There's a lot of good quarterbacks coming out from college into the draft here, so they have a chance to really solidify this team here to get it going.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Speaking of your old quarterback, Jimmy G, they got rid of him for taking steroids because, I mean, who knows what he was taking them for. Jimmy G signed a 1-year deal with the Los Angeles Rams to go back up Matthew Stafford here.
Yeah.
If I was a Niner fan, I'd be a little concerned about this. Your offense has not changed over the last 3 years, and guess who knows that offense pretty damn well?
Yeah,
Jimmy G.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Denver needs a quarterback. I'm surprised they didn't go get him.
I think I don't know. Denver's in that weird place where they don't know what they're doing, man. Like they tried to re up by getting a veteran quarterback and that didn't work. So maybe the idea now is we're not going to go the veteran route. We're going to go to the draft and try to find something new. I have no idea. I mean, they already traded Jared Judy away, so I think they're kind of in a position where they need to go ahead and start the thing all over again, and get things going. Not that I care about the Denver Broncos. I could give two craps about the Denver Broncos. They're terrible. Whatever. But getting back to Jimmy G, I mean, it's a good pickup for a backup for the Rams. I don't know how good the Rams will be. They had the second half of their season was excellent. They played very well going down the stretch, but they didn't start off too well. And ever since winning that Super Bowl where they just gave up everything to get there, they're paying the price for it now. Aaron Donald's retired. Sure. Jalen Ramsey left some time ago. These are players that they spent a lot of money on that are now gone, and they couldn't afford to keep them. So it's just a matter of time before the Rams really have to start looking in the mirror and saying, okay, at some point we got to get Matthew Stafford out of here, and they're going to have to start all over again at some point. So they got their Super Bowl win, but they're also paying the price.
Yep. And speaking of Aaron Donald, congratulations on your retirement.
Yep.
From the entire NFL offensive schemes, they all thank you for leaving the league.
Oh, you better.
Dude, this guy was a menace. Go watch his tape on YouTube for his career in the NFL. Every year in the NFL, he has been a first team all defensive player, multiple defensive player of the years here.
Absolutely.
The dude was a monster, man.
Yeah, he's a monster.
Like there was a clip from this year when he was coming up the middle and Geno Smith, you could hear him going, "Oh shit," as he was getting ready to get hit by Aaron Donald. That's the fear that Aaron Donald put in this league here. And Aaron Donald still could play at a very high level, but when you've done it all and there's not much more that you want to do for the game, he's leaving on the right terms for himself here to enjoy, his accomplishments here. And I think it was a 9-10 year career.
Yeah.
He did it all, man. Yeah, and so, watching him just dominate the way he did, you got to appreciate good defense when you see it there. So, congrats to Aaron Donald. Great career. I'm glad the Niners, everyone in the NFC West is probably happy to see him gone. Just because, your quarterback season could have been very well over if he hit him.
You got that right.
Aaron Donald was a pit bull, man.
Yeah, man. I saw a video of him training with knives. There was this guy that had knives in his hand, and the guy is trying to stab him. Now, they're on the field, right? And the guy has knives in his hand, and they're practicing a defensive lineman techniques where he's using his hands to block the hands of the opponent or offensive lineman. But instead of it being a normal type of practice, the guy he's practicing with has not literally knives in his hand.
Yeah.
And it's like doing this and swinging the knife, and Donald's doing the swim move and all this. And I'm like, bro, are you kidding me right now? So, but anyway, it just goes to show, like, this guy was very different. And he played at a high level, high motor, but also had he had that old school attitude where he was coming for blood. He was going to tear everybody down to the studs. So we saw that when he grabbed, we saw that in that, what was that, in the offseason where he grabbed 2 helmets and started swinging them at people. He snatched helmets off of people's heads and started trying to beat them up with their own helmets. So, yeah, he's different type of dude.
There's a video of Aaron Donald training, and poor rookie, man. Aaron Donald was practicing, I guess, his move where he takes his hand, he pushes it up into the defender's neck.
Yeah.
And the rookie's over there just letting Aaron Donald just kind of jab him in the neck during this training, man. But again, you learn from the best here, and you saw you saw what he did. Now, we're not saying go out and go train with knives. To say
no,
the least.
Please don't.
I don't get where it makes sense to think of an offensive lineman with knives in his hands to block him. I don't play football, so I'm not sure where but that makes me question. I'm like, dude, what are you looking at when you're staring at an offensive lineman? Look at the knife he's got in his hand. I got to swipe it out. You know what I'm saying?
He's on that next level, man. Just like your boy, I can't even think of the name right now, but your boy with the Ravens, the middle linebacker. Who am I? To Hall of Fame middle linebacker for
Ray
the
Lewis.
Ravens. Ray Lewis. Why am I missing on that? So Ray, just like that, it's just certain guys have a certain different type of motor, man, and that's just kind of what we saw. So kudos to him, man.
Yeah. Too bad we won't see training. We won't be able to see good training like that anymore here. So I guess the next one is what with flamethrowers.
Oh yeah.
What else could we? Deadly snakes.
Yeah, throw.
Maybe whatever you got to do to imitate what an offensive
We'll
lineman's gonna do. Go ahead and do it. I just don't see where an offensive lineman holding a knife is good practice for getting to the back. But Aaron Donald saw it differently.
Hey, he's training for his next career in action films, I guess. I don't know. So a little bit of bad news for Dak Prescott. As we've seen with multiple other athletes, he apparently has some allegations against him from a couple of women. One of them is being accused of extorting him actually for more than what was it, like $1 million, $100 million,
$100 million.
I mean, these guys. I mean, I have to say it. I'd hate to be rich, man. I mean, or not right to be rich and famous, because it seems like you have to be so careful with who you're involved with, and when you're involved with the wrong person, boy, can they make your life a living hell.
Miserable.
So, B, you got more on this, man? I know you showed me the
yeah.
line.
So
what's going on?
This is all stemming from 2017, where she's coming out for sexual abuse. And the same woman's also trying to get $100 million from Dak Prescott here. And so This is what kind of concerns me is a little bit is now, look, this is sort of becoming a normal trend across the sports world.
Yeah.
Now, Josh Giddey is one thing.
Trevor Bauer even get me started on that. That story just disappeared, right?
It just blew off like smoke, man. Just disappeared.
I saw the guy back on the court in a month. I'm like, well, what happened? Nobody knows.
Yeah,
nobody knows.
Well, no, it comes to find out she was blowing smoke.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay.
Trevor Bauer. Remember, Trevor Bauer was in some deep water a few years ago for being very rough. We're not going to get into too many contents of what was done. Comes to find out she was blowing smoke too.
Yeah.
The only person who's guilty with this right now is Wander Franco, who's actually dating an underage girl here. But here we go. It's this report's coming out in 2017, accusing Dak Prescott of sexual allegations here for $100 million for the clout. Is this going to be true? I guarantee you, T, this is going to turn into one of those things where we all forget about it in a month.
Yeah,
it's all forgotten about again. And we're not trying to be mean about it, but these are the things that happen. It's a story. We all buy into the story, and then after that, it's no longer a thing to discuss.
And I think we have to point out that what happens behind closed doors is they settle it. You know what I mean? Like there's money that there's settlement money that's put in the hands of folks, and then the story they sign whatever type of document they need to sign to never talk about it again, and then it's over. And a lot of times that's what ends up happening. So she'll get her however much money it is, and like you said, B, we'll probably never hear about it again.
So I guess the lady who's accusing Dak came out with a statement. Dak needs to be held accountable for his behavior. We are not afraid of him or his legal team. I'm not.
It's gonna settle, bro. It's gonna settle. It's something it is. Like, look, you won $100 million. It's already in the news, so we know what you want, right? Let's be clear about it. And I'm not trying to say that I don't know what Dak Prescott did. I don't know what his involvement was or the full round, the full story. But what we do know is that a price or a figure has already been put out there in the media. So we know that I'm not saying that she's lying, but I am saying that she wants to be compensated with money like anybody else would. And more than likely she'll get if not the whole 100 million, something close to it, and then that'll be the end of this.
Well, Dak Prescott's attorney's calling her a liar.
Well, yeah,
On the record,
yeah.
he's come out and said, to be clear, Mr. Prescott has never engaged in any non-consensual sexual conduct with anyone. Lies hurt, especially malicious lies. We will not allow the defendant and her legal team to profit from this attempt to extort millions from Mr. Prescott. So look, this is where the back and forth is going to begin.
Yeah.
You know, and we've seen this story where it turns out it's either she is lying about it or it never even happened. We've never seen it come true where it's like,
she slept with the guy, and then after the fact, now all of a sudden there's something that comes out of it. But she'll get a piece of the pie, because that's what this is, and again, I hate to say that, but that's what this really is about. She's gonna get a piece of the pie. She'll get her however many millions. They'll settle it out of court, and it'll never make it to court, because I don't think that's in the best interest of either party, her or him. They don't want to run her through the coals in her past. They don't want Dak Prescott's information being on Front Street. It just ends up getting settled out of court.
Yeah, poor Dak. But why are we not shocked?
Why are we not shocked? It seems to happen almost every year. It's something different. I mean, these guys, they have to be so careful about who they do business with. We saw what happened to Black Grimace, Zion Williamson. And it's just
come on, man.
The type of stuff that he got himself involved with a girl he was messing with, that just turned out to be bad crap crazy, because she's just trying to steal the limelight to make money, and pretending to be pregnant, pretending that he was abusing her. All those stuff was pelted at him. And nobody believed it, and a lot of it had to do with the fact that she was a P star, if you understand what I'm saying by that. So that discredited her from jump, because she was already involved in the adult entertainment industry. So that's where her case was null and void. Nobody was going to believe her. Oh, really? He abused you? Hold on, let me pull up a video. You know what I mean? So it wasn't going to work out that way. Yeah. So, but
and guess what? We ain't never heard about this story since.
No, because he probably ended up paying her too. It's like, shut up.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, it's running rampant. It's scary if you're an athlete. I know we don't really feel sorry for these guys because they make millions of dollars, but you got to be pretty lonely and thinking like, who do I actually trust? So that's why if you're like a LeBron James and you've got a woman that's been riding with you since high school, you might want to go ahead and tie that up, bro, because once you get rich, ain't no telling what some of these women are going to want from you. You know what I mean? So, hey.
Yeah. Hey, we had a bad... Actually,
I did.
You did pretty good for Pick'em Dummies this week.
Yeah, I did all right.
You ready for your record?
Yeah. I can see.
Yeah.
I'm 3-2, baby. 3-2. My only mistake was picking my own team.
And the Cavs.
Yeah, what was that about? But anyway, yeah, you're right.
You didn't do bad. So here were T picks. He had the Cavs on the money line. Lost. He had the Hornets plus 11.5, and boy, you better be happy that you had that half point because they lost by 11.
I cover, baby. Let's go.
That's all that matters. You had the Bulls plus 10.5. That game wasn't even close. You had the Wolves on the money line. They took that, and then my team handled business against your team.
Yeah.
And so that's where your 2 L's went. Me, on the other hand, I went the complete opposite of what you did. For some reason, I thought the Nets would be competitive against the Pacers. That didn't turn out too well.
No.
The Trailblazers got absolutely... I tried, man. 13.5 seems a pretty largeable point spread to knock down when it's garbage time, but I guess not. Even the Thunder only won by 6.
Yeah,
had them at minus 8.5.
That killed you.
And then the 2 games I had plus 3.5, the Warriors and the Knicks both covered there. So here's the moral of the story, guys. If you watch this on Friday night and you watch the video, whatever I say, do the opposite of.
All right, you're like Charles Barkley now, man.
Yeah, I'm pretty much like Charles Barkley, spewing bad information and giving you bad picks to take here. So, for God's sakes, just do the opposite of what I do. Do exactly what T does, because at least
I
T
don't know.
comes out with a winning record. He may not go undefeated all the time, but he's only one win, one loss, one win away from being undefeated. So T, you better start giving we gotta get you a radio show of
Oh
like that
yeah.
1-800 lock 'em in picks or
One
something
eight
like that.
hundred picks. Get your free picks
I can
now.
imagine you going.
$5.99 parlay all day.
Before we got a couple of off topics here. We generally don't get these, but we got one. Jake Paul and Mike Tyson are fighting each other.
Oh, you seen the
I
video?
can't.
You seen the video on Mike?
I don't know why he's even like
He's like
you
60
know
years old, man.
Mike Tyson's
Uh,
60 years old and he's still punching like he's like in his prime. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? You look, and for all you little young kids who are into the social media scene and everything, take a step back in the time machine and go watch Mike Tyson pre Holyfield fight.
Yeah.
Fights weren't lasting that long. He's
No.
the reason why pay-per-view costs so much, and yet we only got 2 minutes of it because he was knocking people out within the first 2 minutes of the first round. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Dude was a monster,
I
man.
invite
Give
any
me your
person to go on YouTube, look up Mike Tyson knockouts, and his entire career. He was fighting when he first started. He was fighting like like two to three times a week. He was fighting all the time and was knocking out any person that would step in front of him. I mean, he was hurting dudes, and he was just a ferocious puncher. You were getting hit with his whole childhood. That's how hard
yeah.
he was hitting you. And his childhood was
Somebody
rough.
hurt him in his childhood.
Yes, no. Yeah,
Somebody
he
hurt
did.
him during his
He guy
childhood.
was a damn orphan, man. Hey, he ain't had neither one of his parents, man. He was an orphan. He was hitting you with all of that, and so yeah, he was the guy. Mike Tyson, there was nothing like Mike Tyson when he was coming up and when he got into his prime. There was nothing like that. Nothing. Nothing compares.
So here's the crazy part. They have a preliminary line out for betting on this fight. Lord and behold, there's a bet that you could make here.
Of course.
Mike Tyson's an underdog. You know how disrespectful that is to a man who is the most feared boxer in that ring? Like,
I mean,
why were dudes?
he's old.
Can you
He's
imagine
older, I guess.
your promoter going, "Hey, I got to fight for you." You guys like, "Yeah, man, who is I want to knock his ass out?" It's Mike Tyson. What? What do you want me to fight him for? If I had a chance to fight Mike Tyson, I still wouldn't do it. There's no way, man.
I mean, let's just put it this way: Mike is not as fast as he used to be, but it really is only going to take one punch. And I think for Jake Paul, he's just going to try to have to find a way to avoid that one punch.
And the fight is happening
man.
at Texas Arlington Stadium in front of 100,000 people. I doubt they're going to sell out 100,000 tickets for this fight here. But
They
look,
might.
they could. Dude,
They should have had it in
I
Vegas.
hope there's no
They
restrictions.
should have had it in Vegas.
Oh, yeah. Legendary Vegas. They should have. Look, Mike Tyson bit someone's ear off cleanly. Name the last time you seen somebody bite some dude's ear off whose name wasn't Hannibal Lecter.
Never.
You know what I'm saying? Speaking of sports betting, here we got one last story to get to. My man Bruno Mars. It has a residency in Las Vegas, right? So if you don't know, residency is basically you perform there almost every single night. They lock you in for this lucrative deal to bring people in to watch. And you go have a good time and whatnot. Bruno Mars was making $90 million off of MGM, right?
Yeah.
But for some odd reason, he has gotten himself in some gambling trouble and now owes about $50 million to MGM, to the MGM casinos here.
Hey,
man.
Hey, check this out. So first, he still made $40 million. I mean, you think about it. So he signed for 90. He gave them 50, and he walks away with 40. So it just sounds like he was playing with his money a little bit too much. But it sounds like MGM was like, "Here's 90 million," and he took 50 million of that and decided to go gamble with it. Man, I wish the dude the best of luck. Hopefully, if he needs some type of help, he better go ahead and try to get it. Get him some help with his gambling problem or whatever the hell is wrong with him. But
I'm just
it
I'm just
doesn't make
trying to
sense.
understand. The numbers don't add up. They really don't.
Yeah,
He owes $50 million in gambling bet, but is well worth more than that.
yeah.
What,
So is it really a debt,
am I
or are we
missing
just
something
playing
here?
with, are we just playing with numbers? I feel like it's not what it looks like. I feel like he's probably just gambling, and the casino is like, don't worry about it. Like you're making us plenty of money, and
Nah, apparently they are worried about it because this news report came out. Otherwise, I don't think we would have known about it had they not cared
well,
about
it
it.
says allegedly, so I don't know. Like maybe there's some truth to him gambling, but I don't know if he was that bad in debt. He's already in Las
Make
Vegas's
another
pocket.
album.
Yeah, he's in Las Vegas's pocket already.
Go go make another album. All right, go on another world tour. Make that money back. You be good.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah, we'll see.
No wonder we haven't heard from him for a while. I'm like, man, when's the next song Bruno Mars is coming out with?
He's stuck
Now,
in
I think we know
Vegas.
why now.
He's stuck. He
The
can't
dude
get out
owns
of
hell of
Vegas.
money.
I gotta say, he's stuck. He can't get out. He's stuck in Vegas, man. Can't move.
Like, he's stuck now. He's about to be the Celine Dion of men over in Las Vegas.
Yeah, might as well be. Might as well be singing the same damn song.
Jeez.
Oh man. Well, folks, I think that's all we got.
All
I'm gonna
right.
walk through the chat one more time. I don't think we got anything. Want to thank Junior. Junior, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you chiming in. Feel free to hit that subscribe button, man. Let us know you appreciate us. We look forward to seeing folks hop on Friday and Sunday. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it, dude. Pretty much it.
Yeah, I think that's gonna cover it, y'all.
All right, y'all. Well, until next time, we will be back starting on Friday with our next set of picks for the NBA games that weekend. And yeah, and then we'll be back next Sunday again, 6:30 Pacific time. We appreciate y'all joining us. Again, if you like what you hear, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the notification button, hit the like button on the video. Please hit the like button. We appreciate it. Doesn't take any money and a moment of your time. So go ahead and click. All right, y'all. Until next time. Peace.
Peace.